the pedestrian realm is going to be extremely important. And so whether we're terming it a shared street or whether it's really a laneway with a pedestrian laneway as well too, I think where it falls apart a little bit for me, and I'd be curious what the plans are, is in the revitalized parking lot for the plaza, because I suspect in dealing with residents in my area that as it's currently constructed, doing the Pythagoras walk from the corner right across is going to be a bit of a challenge as it currently is constituted. And so I think that I'd be really interested to see what the revitalized parking lot looks like with respect to whether or not there are pedestrian islands within there to allow people to access the supermarket when they're walking from their tower without going all the way around in a slightly circuitous way, which I suspect they wouldn't actually do. And then the impact on the number of parking spaces that might have is something that I think we need to consider as well too, if we are allowing for more crosswalks and pedestrian islands, et cetera, in that parking lot.
Through you, Mayor Jaworski, I think the intent of the Flex Street is to create a space that's welcoming for all modes of transportation. It's not the intent to suggest that people won't be driving there and that we can't design the space to accommodate everyone's movement. And if we're looking at how does someone get from this building to the food store on the same property, perhaps if we pull back a little bit and we think to ourselves, I can live on the same property and work there and also go to a grocery store without using a vehicle, perhaps the positives of that outweigh some movements around the site that we'll work with staff to design and make sure that they're safe and attractive.
Completely not suggesting that the positives don't outweigh the negative. In fact, I agree that the positives outweigh the negative. I just think I'm having a hard time envisioning it right now, I guess. And particularly I'm certain that you can come up with something to fix the revitalized parking lot in the area of the supermarket. I'm not concerned about that. I'm just highlighting it. On the living street part, the idea that it's going to be welcoming for pedestrians is in conflict with the idea that there are cars coming from every direction, to me. So that's my comment on it.
Thank you, and I think that's the first time Pythagoras has been referenced at this council table, so thank you for bringing up Pythagoras. Seeing no further questions, thank you. Andrew, thank you. Trevor. Delegate 3 of 4, Douglas Stewart, IBI Group. Welcome, Douglas. And don't forget to take the business card for the woodworkers, pass it around to good friends as well. Thank you. Questions of the delegate? Councillor Freeman.
I have the planning justification report open, and I'm having a really hard time finding following your page references. So I just wanted to say, I want to make sure that we're all on the same version of the report going forward. Obviously not tonight, but in the future, if people are going to make reference to the report, it would be really helpful. Because it's obviously not the PDF page numbers, it's literally the report page numbers I think you're making reference to, but some of them seemed different from what I downloaded from the website. So that's all. I was having a hard time following that.
Next up, our last registered delegate is Paul Ruppel, Residents Advisory Board of Luther Village on the Park. Welcome, Paul.
Good evening, Mayor Jaworski and fellow councillors. I represent the residents of Luther Village on the Park, and we too are interested in what is happening to this large development, which is right next to us. Luther Village on the Park is a seniors' retirement community who pay taxes and who vote in Ward 7. We're approximately 500 residents, and we're located immediately to the proposed Killam apartment REIT development. The community resides on private property whose buildings and infrastructure are repaired and maintained through the residents' fees secured from our retirement savings. Some of our highlight concerns I've indicated here is traffic congestion, safety, privacy concerns, noise and air quality, and environmental impact on the current habitat of bird and wildlife in the area which we enjoy, and also the densification impact on the senior residential community in this area. Increased traffic concerns. Okay, now they're talking about coming in here on Dietz Avenue, and just for you, we are located, there's 5 or 6 of us here, right along this area here, and they're putting a structure, a large parkade, right behind 3 or 4 of ours building here. So during the terms of construction, we're wondering how is construction, how is Killam going to divert some of the traffic that is obviously going to come through off of Dietz and through our private property and out onto Father David Power Drive. And also, once the site has been fully developed, what are they going to do to ensure that this thoroughfare does not become an alternate for people going through here and wanting to access the shopping center? There are certain areas of concern as well, because as the people are coming through here, and this is a fairly busy area right now, all of these homes along here, here, and here, we all have garages that back out onto the street and present a hazard to those of us who live there. So that's one of our safety concerns. And also the increased traffic. These roads weren't built to handle trucks and major construction vehicles, which I'm sure we'll see going through here. They tend to break up the pavement, and we end up having to pay for those costs through our maintenance fees. There's also a lane that they're proposing, which will come off of wherever my little mouse is here. And I have a feeling that in reading this and looking at this document, this is now basically just a lane for some deliveries. There's parking along there, and it looks like it's going to become a two-way lane with bike traffic. And part way along here, the residents of Luther Village have an access to go through to the shopping center, the drugstore, the banks, the whatever. And over this past winter, we had some severe safety concerns with that crossway because it was poorly maintained. There was snow buildup, and there's traffic goes through there, and we're just wondering what Killam would do to mitigate the situation and perhaps put some kind of a pedestrian walkway through there and have it so designated so that the residents would be able to walk through there without having to worry, because people go through there with wheelchairs, with walkers, with canes. This is a retirement community, so you have to look after us. I mentioned health issues. This past week there was an interesting article in the Globe and Mail about this Toronto-based Envisions company, and they're doing business around the world. As you know, those of us who have problems with air quality, and those of you who suffer asthma, these people have done studies to suggest that the daily ingestion of smog and pollutants from cars and other chemicals increase the risk of heart attacks, cancer, and dementia. And that's something that we don't need. The other thing that I wanted to point out is they're planning on putting a large garage where that little red arrow goes. I walked around the parking lot on Sunday. It's roughly 2 acres. There were 300 spaces for 350 cars, and they're going to put them into that building. And those of us who live behind that building, we're wondering how they're going to mitigate the noise and the pollution from exhaust. I said, can you imagine 300 people arriving to work in the morning and hitting little things, and then we're going to hear bing, 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 bing 300 times, and going home at night, bing, 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 bing. Like, it's going to be disruptive for those who want to use our backyards. And also, with prevailing winds and that, we're going to be exposed to smoke, exhaust, and things that we really don't need in our life. So we're also wondering if they would look at the information that we showed there previously that came from these people and that are doing business, and the ventilation systems that they put in, if they are located, if they would direct the air in a manner other than into our backyards, and also considering putting up a building that's completely closed in the back so that we don't get all this noise into our area. And the same thing will happen in the other area behind the laneway, where they go from a little lane with some parking to now a two-way traffic route. There's one other way coming into the area. One of the gentlemen suggested that it was a low traffic area, this new area that's going through the center of the subdivision. Well, I would like to know how it's going to be a low traffic area when you've got 250 to 300 cars in a 4-level parking garage wanting to leave, coming in or going out, when there's still only the two ways to come in and out. That's going to be a major thoroughfare. There's also privacy concerns with those of us who live along both sides, where when we have to have a building that's 4 stories or higher, that they're going to be able to disrupt our lifestyle, looking into our backyards, and that type of thing. So we would like to think that there's a lot of trees along there that have been there for over 20 years that provide some bit of privacy, and we're wondering if they would disappear, or if they would give some consideration to maintaining that part of our property, because those trees seems to be outside of the fence that's a designation on the back of our properties. And we saw nothing in the provision, and we're certainly early, but some of these contractors, they submit requests to council to amend and extend the noise and construction hours. And we'd like to think that council would respect the current construction hours. If they're from 7 till 5, we'd like them to stay at 7 to 5, and not see construction starting earlier in the morning or having trucks going through our property. After all, it is private property. So that's another one of our concerns. And right now we enjoy some of our neighbors. In fact, we have a neighbor that lives on, you probably all know the giraffe lady, if she was here. Oh, she's right here. Yeah. I guess she went home. She lives on the corner, and she loves feeding birds. We've got geese and ducks and every kind of bird, cardinals. We have red foxes going through. We have deer going through, rabbits. We're going to lose a lot of that, and a lot of us have enjoyed seeing that wildlife going through our backyards. So we wonder what kind of consideration will be given, Killam will give, to replacing the lost vegetation and all the mature trees and shrubs that we're going to probably lose. And one thing that seems to be skating around the whole issue is the densification impact. You're talking about adding over 1,000 units. We've got the Barrel Yards is going to put up another 2 towers. One's already starting to go up, so they'll be up to 5. There's other projects in the area. Where is all this traffic going to go on a two-lane road on Herb Street or Westmount, and or on Dietz Avenue, which in the wintertime it's basically down to 1 lane. I mean, if you should come over there and see the cars coming out of the parking lot and trying to access Herb Street, it's almost impossible. Now, it's certainly difficult for our people living in our community to get in and out of there. And certainly Sunshine Avenue is no alternative, because it's probably a mire of about 100 potholes, anywhere from 6 to 8 inches deep, all the way along. And the people that work in the shopping center, they're using both those streets for parking. And there's signs that say 2-hour parking. I don't think anybody checks that, because there's cars that are there all day from 9 until 5. So I guess the densification is going to impact our safety, our health, and in the end probably even could impact us financially, because we don't know how this is going to affect property values as all this begins. Oh, sorry. Got a little bit ahead of myself there. Yeah, as I said to the gang, this is the first time I've ever had to do a PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to be 81 years old, so what do I know? You guys are all ahead of me with all this. So in conclusion, we've expressed all kinds of concerns as residents, as property owners. Don't forget there's 500 of us in there that we pay taxes, we vote. In Ward 7. I remember that. And I was interested that one of the gentlemen said that, I think it was Trevor, said that they're planning to have consulting sessions with their surrounding neighbors. So I hope we're one of those neighbors that they will sit down and talk to, so we can review all of these issues with respect as to how they're going to affect the quality of life of the people that live in Luther Village. And respectfully, Mayor, thank you for the time to make this presentation.
Well, congratulations. I'll make a certificate for you. And that's clapping for Paul's first PowerPoint. So there we go. We'll take it at that. I think we all really appreciate you aggregating a lot of comments, and I'm sure there's more from the neighbors at Luther Village, and I think we can take kill them at their word that they're willing to have discussions with the community, and thank you for laying out what you have there. But questions from, I'll turn it over to Councillor Bonagor.
Through you, Mayor, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight, and thank you for, as the Mayor said, bringing everything together so concisely. You are certainly one of the key communities that we'll be reaching out to, that I'll be touching base with as this goes through all of the process steps. But I would also encourage people to please, if you haven't already, to sign up at the desk as you came in, because then you'll be on the email list to also receive updates and information and invitations to meetings. You are one of the key communities. Surrounding neighbours on the other side and around it are also key communities. So I'm thanking you for bringing your concerns at this early stage, and look forward to talking with you more about it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Freeman.
Excuse me, just a question to staff. I think
Do you have any question to the delegate?
I don't have any questions for delegation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And what we'll do is also I see Acting Commissioner Heptich here, who was probably taking notes of your bylaw concerns of the parking on Sunshine Street, and you'll get that to your team members on that. I saw him taking notes. Thank you. Councillor Freeman, please.
My question is to staff. Councillor Bonagor just reminded me of something. We asked people to provide their contact information, but not everyone necessarily has email addresses or email accounts that they check on a routine basis. So are we going to use some other kinds of strategies to help connect with the residents that live in community with one another adjacent to this property?
Through you, Mayor Jaworski, to Councillor Freeman. In addition to the names we will be collecting tonight at the sign-in sheet, I have already compiled a list of names and addresses or email addresses of individuals that I've been speaking to over a number of weeks now. Many, I'm sure, that are here tonight. In addition to, typically what we do is we request that individuals provide the means in which they wish to be contacted. So whether that's an email address, whether that's mail, or whether it's a phone number. Typically we prefer mail and email so that we can provide them with documents rather than verbal communication, which provides them additional information. But yes, we're very much open to receiving or providing information in any form that's convenient for individuals.
Great. Good question, good answer. I'd also draw your attention to correspondence we received from Marguerite Gravette on the safety issue of crossing over through the gateway there. Thank you, Marguerite. And are there anyone else present here tonight who wishes to speak to this application? Yes, sir. Please come up. You'll have 5 minutes. And if you're interested as well, come on up. And is there anybody else interested here tonight other than these two delegates? Last call. Okay, so we have two for 5 minutes. Thank you. Please give your name and municipality, please.
So Mayor, Council, and staff, my name is Al Way, and I live at 223 Herb Street, which is the condominium across the street from what is being proposed. I won't take 5 minutes, but I'd just like to take you through some notes. I am here tonight to object to the proposed zone change and official plan change put forward by the applicant. I also have 35 signed objections that in the short period of time I was able to put together to bring of others that have also voiced their objection to this intensification on Herb Street. Many of them are here tonight that have signed. When I decided to move into 223 Herb Street, I knew that a 12-story building could be built across the street from us, and I'm okay with that. But I'd like to ask staff and council to support the long-term planning vision that was put in place to allow a maximum of 12 stories or 40 meters is what it is with the new RMU zoning. As this was the vision, the long-term vision for this corridor was to give the 12 stories, and then, as you know, the zoning behind it down into where the plaza is, it allows them to go to 80 meters. That was already put in place years ago, and it was reconfirmed by council only 9 months ago that that was still what the vision was for that corridor. So I'm asking staff and council to carry that vision forward. If the current proposal is allowed, it is going to be too high to Herb Street, and it will permanently scar that streetscape.